by saying hi. And if you come back and you're watching a replay, do let me know as well. I'm going to come back and check in on the comments and stuff like that. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. I am a sleep medicine physician, and I am just so excited about some really exciting news that I'm going to share with you. If you didn't know, I wrote a book, and the name of the book is called Beyond Tired: A Sleep Physician's Guide to Solving Your Child's Sleep Problems for Good. And I wanted to show up today to just tell you a little bit about why I decided to write a book, right? Like, I'm a mom, I own a practice, I'm a speaker. And now I'm like, okay, you know what? What else can I do? I'm going to write a book. And so I wanted to spend some time just briefly with you to share why I decided that was the next thing to accomplish. Actually, you know what? When I started my practice, the Restful Sleep Place, I wanted to do something, for the first year anniversary. We turn one on October 3rd. The Restful Sleep Place is a practice where I offer sleep services to children as well as young adults and adults actually with sleep issues. And I said, okay, what can I do to really sort of mark this year where we've stayed open? It's been incredible. We've changed lives. And there were a few things that came to mind. Some of those things were, maybe I should, go on Oprah, right? Find a way to get on Oprah and get interviewed by Oprah. So that is still something that's, I would love to achieve. So in case you have connections, please let me know. The other thing I thought of doing was actually doing a TEDx talk. And actually, I started putting the stuff together, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me stretch myself just a little bit. I mean, doing a TEDx talk is a big deal, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, let me do something that will be sort of in perpetuity, that even beyond this year, it will be almost like a legacy. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to write a book. Now, the fact that I'm writing a book, of course, it's coming from a place of someone who has the expertise. But I think for me, it was more of a personal issue as somebody who struggled with sleep, as a mom who had kids who didn't sleep well, and many people just think, oh, yes, you're a sleep doctor and you give all this sleep information, so you must have it perfect. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In case you don't know, doctors are sort of one of the worst patients. Okay. So I struggled with insomnia. My kids were not sleeping. And I thought, as a pediatrician, which is my background, that I would have this all down pat. It would just be so easy and so cool. But it was much harder than I thought. So it didn't really, it didn't really translate to exactly figuring it out. So a few things that I experienced is really part of what motivated me to write this book. Number one, I remember, and I share this story in detail in my book Beyond Tired, that launches October 8th. Can't believe it, October 8th. I can hardly wait. That's why I said October 3rd, right? October 8th, and you'll get it on Amazon and things like that. But a few things that really motivated me were some of the experiences I had as well. And so when I talk about this, I talk about the fact that I have been there. And when I say I have been there, I actually have been there. I wear the t-shirts. So started off, medical school, it was rough, in training meant no sleep. Like, sleep and being in medical school training, they don't occur together, at least when I was training. And then fast forward to residency, I came to the US. I went to medical school in Nigeria. I came in with a lot of complex, right? I'm coming into a new system where I didn't really know much about the system. All I knew was I needed to prove myself because I've always been a high achiever and I didn't want to do things small at all. So came in, got burnt out very quickly, struggled with sleep. And around then was when I had my son. And, imagine combining trying to show up at 110% at work and also trying to be home and trying to support the kids as much as possible. So I was like failing on both ends because I would go to work, do 24-hour shifts, 32-hour shifts, and come home and continue that, right? Because, whoever was watching my kid is like, okay, you're back home, here's your kid. So I would sort of pick up a shift. So now I was working nonstop. And it wasn't like, oh, bedtime, I just put my son in bed and he would just go back to sleep. He had some issues like reflux and some other things, and just really had a hard time settling down. So that left me exhausted all the time. That left me sleep deprived all the time. And I remember very, very clearly one day when I was coming back from work, and I had this experience where I was driving, and then I would just say I blanked out. I blanked out. Like, I don't even know if I passed out or if it was that I fell asleep. I have no idea. But what I know was that I had driven several miles and I found myself in the middle of nowhere. Now, this is coming from work home, which I did every single day. And if I tell you, that made me so scared. I was already super anxious because I was exhausted and frazzled and sleep deprived. But that put fear into the mix. And I was like, something has to happen. I remember I called my mom. I'm like, this is what happened. I'm like lost. So I had to put on the GPS to try to find my way home. So I have no idea what happened during that time. It felt like, almost 30 minutes, but maybe it wasn't. It was probably like 5, 10 minutes, but I was completely off. And I had to create, get GPS to go back home. And that was when I said, okay, this is dangerous. Like literally, like I was completely unaware. Was I driving? Were other cars on the road? There's so many things that could have happened. And this was a consequence of my not sleeping. This was a consequence of the impact that poor sleep had caused. And so I think that was when I started to say, okay, I need to figure this thing out. And we did, right? Navigated what was going on with my son. It turns out, once we were able to address his reflux, a few other sleep things, he got better. And then I had to work on myself because it turns out, even after we figured out the sleep piece of things, that this for him, my own sleep was still a mess. So I had to go through some work, some work in terms of mindset, some what we call cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. We did some work, so therapist, all that stuff. And I was like, if I had this kind of experience, imagine what other parents are going through. And I would see that in my practice, right? When I started my sleep practice, I would see parents who would come in with their kids exhausted. But what was more remarkable for me was just the impact that poor sleep had on the parents. I had a mom, I'll never forget, who had such chronic back pain that she needed to be on pain medications. And you know why? Because she had to hold her child all night long to sleep. So those were the kind of things. I had families that were falling apart because of sleep issues. And I'm like, wow, this thing we just assume we all know how to do, it turns out a lot of people need help. And so from the combination of my own personal experience, seeing how much sleep actually was, or lack thereof, was affecting me, and seeing it in everyday life with family, friends, with relatives, the whole gamut, right? I realized I needed to do something. Now, I had the experience. I understood what people were going through. I understood why just saying, oh, just let him cry it out, or, oh, just like, hopefully they'll outgrow it. I understood what it was like to not wait anymore for them to outgrow it. Like, outgrow it when? 2 years, 5 years? Like, what's going to happen, right? So I came from that place. And I also understood the science, right? So I got trained in sleep medicine, spent, after my general training, my fellowship, I got another fellowship in sleep. So I wrote a book from that place of empathy, from that place of somebody who gets it and who has been there, and also from someone who's really been in the science and worked on this and things like that. And so that was how Beyond Tired was born. And I really see it as a guide. It's called Beyond Tired. The subtitle is A Sleep Physician's Guide to Solving Your Child's Sleep Problems for Good, really, because sometimes we have some temporary solutions like melatonin. Sometimes we have some temporary solutions like having them in bed with you. Sometimes we have some temporary solutions like, giving them some other sleep aid or things like that, right? But how do we get lasting solutions that work for you and for your family? And that right there is what Beyond Tired is about. This really is my gift to the community, my gift to my followers, my gift to my patients, and a way to say, I hear you, I've been there, I get it. And the thing about it is, I really see it almost like a guide that, we always say like kids don't come with manuals. I wish they did. I wish mine came with a manual, right? And I'm sure you did too. But having this step by step, this is what normal looks like. This is what abnormal looks like. This is what I need to do to move the needle forward. And from a place of not like, oh, I'm up here, you're down there. Not from a place of judgment, from a place of someone who gets it. Like I see myself as that friendly neighbor who just happens to be a doctor, and we're just having a conversation. And literally, that was my dream. That was the reason why writing this book meant so much to me. Like I wanted it to be so relatable that you're like, okay, I get it. So there's stories in there, there are analogies. I think I have a decent sense of humor. So there's a little bit of humor in there as well. So it's a blend of all those things. I am so looking forward to sharing it with you. And so I'm going to show up here. If you have questions, if you have things you want to ask me about the book, feel free to put it in the comments. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, let me know. And I really do look forward to sharing this book with you. It's going to be live on Amazon. I've had a few people ask already. It's going to be live on Amazon October 8th. You're going to go right there, go to Amazon. You're going to purchase, and you're going to purchase one for yourself, and you're going to purchase one maybe for a mom in your life who would benefit from this. Another thing I have in there is I wrote a chapter for sleep specifically for moms as well. So that's a bonus, and I'm so looking forward to having you read it, having you understand it, and also having you be able to implement it in your life. So looking forward to connecting with you, looking forward to sharing this resource with you, and definitely let me know how excited I am. Beyond excited. You get it? Beyond excited to share this book with you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Bye, everyone.